All right. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum, everybody. Um, so let's start the lesson from where we actually left off in the face-to-face classes, because we started the chapter inventory management last time. Um, okay, so we have covered why do businesses hold stocks. Okay, and we talked about the three different types of inventory businesses normally hold, and why stock needs to be managed effectively. We discussed those points in detail last time. I'm not going to discuss that. I'm just showing you what we have covered. Then we talked about the stock holding cost, like a business does not manage the stock well and the stock actually goes above the maximum level which is set by the organization. So what is the problem? So these are actually the cost of stock holding, cost of holding inadequate stock. So if the business keeps an inventory below a minimum level set by the organization. So again, it means that the business is not managing the stock well. So lost sales, idle production, resources, expensive special orders, small order quantities, we have discussed that. So there should not be any issue. If you have any issue, you can um, send me a message or WhatsApp me later, but not in the class. Sorry. Now we'll talk about an important concept, that is stock control chart. Now the purpose of stock control chart is to manage the inventory effectively. All right. So let me see, because the students are actually coming in, and I have to admit them within the first 10 minutes, but it does not mean that I will not teach. I will start teaching straight away from the time allocated, or from the start of the time allocated for the subject. But I will keep on admitting students till 12:10. And after that, I will not actually admit any of the students. Okay. All right. So stock control chart basically helps businesses to keep the inventory at a desired. So just mute your mic. If you have a question, only then unmute your mic. Otherwise, keep it muted. Okay. So it's about keeping the inventory at a desired level. So it should not be too high or too low. We talked about it. What are the consequences of keeping the stock too high or too low for the business? Okay, all right. Now let's first talk about few of the concepts which are related to stock control charts. One is buffer stock, and I guess somebody actually explained me that in the class. on the other day. I think the last one. So buffer stock, another name given to it is minimum stock level. Again, I told you earlier that business has to set a minimum limit below which the stock level should not go. Because if the stock level goes below the buffer stock or the minimum stock level, the inventory enters the danger zone. And why we call it danger zone? Because now anytime the stock can run out, and obviously you know what will be the consequences. The production will stop because you do not have enough raw material available, or you may have to refuse customers if they are finished goods because now they are not available in your stock. If all of a sudden a large order comes from the customer because you are below the minimum stock level, that's why you have to keep the minimum stock level. And why it is required? Why don't you actually keep it at zero? Reason is because sometimes there is a sudden increase in demand, and for that you need to cover it up, and for that you have that buffer. Okay, so that minimum amount of storage which must be there to meet that sudden increase in demand as well. Okay, then we have maximum stock level. We discussed about it. Again, this is to avoid the problem of overstocking, because no business wants to have too much of a stock because it has various negative consequences. We discussed that earlier about when we were discussing stock holding cost. Okay, Sufyan is actually, just a minute, because it's almost 12:10. I am admitting Sufyan as well. All right. So after that, we have another concept as far as stock control chart is concerned, lead time. You need to understand about lead time as well. So lead time means the time which is required for the goods to be delivered since they are ordered. Now, what does it mean? Let me explain you that. For example, you want a certain level of raw material for the production process, right? For example, you make chairs made up of plastic, and you require plastic of a certain quantity. Okay, so let's say you order your supplier right now. Okay, and the supplier delivers you the same quantity after 7 days. So we'll say lead time is 7, the time taken by the supplier to deliver the goods from the time when they are actually ordered. Okay, or the difference between the time when the goods are ordered and when the goods are actually delivered by the supplier. So this is lead time. Now, why it is important or crucial to know about the lead time as well? The reason is uh, because, for example, if the lead time is high, okay, or is long, for example, so you need to know exactly when to give that order. For example, I'll give you an example. You know that after 7 days, your stock will reach the minimum level, okay, which obviously was set by the organization. So you have to order right now. Why? Because you know that the supplier will take 7 days, and by that time, your stock will reach to the minimum level. And as soon as your stock will reach to the minimum level, the delivery from the supplier will come. It will arrive, and again, your stock will increase. Okay, and it will reach to the maximum uh, stock level. So this is, or similarly, it means that if the lead time is high, you have to order early, because you know that um, significant time is required for the supplier to deliver the goods. But if, let's say, lead time is very short, and it happens as well, lead time, if it is short, how lead time can be especially if I talk about retailers, because they only sell goods, so they might get it from the wholesaler because they may have in their warehouse. If it's not a perishable good, so it's not that difficult to deliver it on a regular basis, like weekly basis or maybe twice a week. So okay, this is another story. um, if lead time is short, then you can delay ordering your supplier, because let's say if the lead time is one day, right? So obviously, before that day, like now you know that only one day is left um, for your stock to reach to the minimum level. Now you will order your supplier to deliver the goods, because you know that you order now, the next day the stock will arrive. Please mute your mic. Mute your mic, please.
I miss he came
Aliza,
to the
Aliza, your mic
Iceland
is
with
not
his mother
muted.
and father
Aliza, mute your mic.
and
Okay, all right. So let me see now what is the time so that I can now stop admitting students. Just a minute. Yeah, okay, it's now the time has gone past 10 minutes to 12. So, sorry, 10 minutes past 12. So it's 12:11. So now I won't admit any of the student after that. Okay, so lead time is important. That's why you need to understand when to, okay, now when to order your supplier again. Now, uh, another concept which is linked to that, and that is reorder stock level. As the name suggests, you understand. This is when will you order again to your supplier. So it is hugely dependent on the lead time. If lead time is long, you have to reorder very early. Let's say lead time is 7 days or 15 days. So you have to reorder 15 days before your stock reaches to the minimum level. Or if the lead time is short, I just explained you that, then you can delay your reorder, and you can reorder your supplier when you feel that now there is only one day left, because the lead time is one day. So you know that next day it will arrive. So lead time and reorder stock level, they are um, interlinked. In fact, reorder stock level depends upon lead time. If you really want to reorder accurately, and you should not want that your stock should reach above your maximum level, so you need to consider lead time before reordering your supplier. Then another, so stock control chart again, actually it's a diagram where you actually show the quantity of inventory you have with the passage of time. So on one side you take the time on x-axis, and on y-axis you actually keep the inventory level. So you come to know that how many days have passed and how much inventory you have, because when you produce, your inventory starts going down, and you need to keep an eye on it, that when will it reach to the minimum level, or when to reorder. Okay, so I'll show you the diagram as well. Now, just in time is one of the very important concept in in inventory management, in fact. And just in time is basically when you do not keep a stock at all. You only have a stock which is going to be used very soon in the production process. So what is done in that case actually? Although we will talk about this concept as well. Okay. So, but I'll give you some idea about it, and then we'll talk about this concept later. So this is again an inventory control management concept. So in just in time, what do? You do not keep any stock. When the customer orders you for a certain quantity, you order your supplier as well after that. Like for example, let me give you an example. It will make it more clear. For example, you take an order from your customer, and you say, all right, your order will be delivered to you within 10 days. And why have you given 10 days to the customer? Reason is because you know that now you will order your supplier to deliver the required amount of raw material to produce the goods. And the supplier, let's say, takes 5 days to deliver the goods or the raw material. And you also take 5 days to produce it. So 5 plus 5, 10 days are required. 5 days for the raw material or the goods to be delivered at your workplace, and the second 5 days for the production of the goods. And then after 10 days, the goods will be ready, and you will be able to meet the deadline, and goods will be finally delivered to the customer. This is how it is done in just in time. So what happens? Minimum level of inventory is actually kept, or you can say there is no inventory. Reason is because when you actually buy inventory. So yes, it's there with you, but you know that it is going to be used in next 5 days. Okay. If we consider the example I just gave you, right? So within 5 days, that inventory will be consumed, and then there will be no inventory left at all. So this is again one way to handle inventory as well. Okay, all right. Before we move on to a stock control chart using a diagram, if you have any question regarding these different concepts which we discussed, these 6 points, so you are more than welcome to ask questions. Any question from your side?
Sir, can you re-explain buffer stock?
Yeah, buffer stock, another name given
Sir,
to
because
buffer
I
stock.
came a little bit.
Yeah, okay, no problem, no problem. Buffer stock is minimum stock level that your inventory should not go below that level, because if it goes below that level, you enter a danger zone, and danger zone means that your inventory may run out any time during your production process, and this can be very dangerous for you because you need to stop your production then, and then you will never be able to meet the deadline given to the customers. Bad reputation will prevail over there, and you will be in trouble. Now I think okay, all right, just a minute.
Sir, what do
So
you mean by inventory stock?
okay, now stock or inventory, these are two different names which can be given um, to it, right? So inventory or stock, because who asked it? Okay, Ahmed
Sir, me,
Abdullah.
Rami.
Okay, Ramin, just a minute. Ahmed Abdullah, I just admitted you, but because that was the first class. Next time,
Oh,
if you
Sir,
come after 10 minutes,
sir, I was in the class before my internet malfunctioned, so I rejoined.
okay, all right, fine. Okay, so Ramin, let me answer your question. So inventory is actually a certain amount of goods and services which a business has to keep. And do you know why? Because there are three different types of inventories business can keep depending on the nature of the business. One is raw material. If you manufacture items, you have to keep a stock of raw material. And otherwise, you cannot continue your production process. Second is work in progress, and that is when you are producing goods and at the end of the day they are half done. So obviously you need some place to keep it there so that next day you can um, perform further operations on that or on those products, right? Similarly, if you deal in finished products, again, you have completed a product but still it is unsold and you are waiting for the order to arrive. So you keep it in the inventory as an inventory in a warehouse there as well as finished goods. So Ramin, got it?
Yes, sir, got it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving onwards. Now we'll talk about this diagram. Just have a look. Now this is stock control chart. So I'll explain you there, or if you find any problem, I can draw it as well later if you think that there is a problem. All right. Now in this case, for example, this is the maximum stock level. Okay, we are there. Okay, at this point. Now this is the maximum inventory level, and you will not like to keep inventory above that level. You won't want to keep it there. Why? Because there are lots of costs involved. I told you earlier, and we call it stock holding cost. One of the biggest costs is you need to have a larger warehouse, and for that you need to pay a higher rent as well. Sorry. Another drawback is that your inventory might go out of date because it might not be used in the near future, because you have bought too many of the inventory, and now it is not going to be used in the production process because demand is not much. So obviously it is going to go out of date or out of shape there. All right, so this is our maximum stock level. Now you start your production, right? So now what will happen? Your stock starts going down. You know why I have actually drawn a line, a diagonal line? What is the reason behind it? The reason is you can see that on x-axis I have taken time. Okay, on y-axis I have taken the number of units we keep as an inventory, right? So when you start producing, with the passage of time, days are being consumed as well, and the level of inventory is going down, right? So by the time it reaches that level, this level I actually label it as reorder level, right? Why I'm calling it reorder level? Because here you will order your supplier again. And why you are actually reordering here? Because buffer stock is below it. You can see that. The reason is because when you will reorder, still supplier will take some time to deliver the goods to you, right? Depending on the lead time again, okay? Either it is 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, okay? So depending on that, you order your supplier here. Now, what will happen? The goods will not arrive all of a sudden. It will take time. So what will happen? Your inventory will keep on going down, okay? And by the time it will reach there, that is buffer stock level, and this should be your calculation, right? By the time you will reach buffer stock level, that is minimum stock level, the order will arrive, okay? And when the order will arrive, again your stock level will reach to the maximum level. So this is how it is done actually, but you need to have a very close eye on the level of inventory and the lead time as well. Because if the lead time is the same every time, it's fine. If it changes, you have to consult your supplier as well. So now, for example, now why I've written lead time here? What is the reason behind it? Reason is because you have ordered here, right? This, let's say if I take it, if I drag it there, let's say it is 6 days. Okay, let me just draw it so that you can, let me copy it and let's see whether I can use the same. I think right now I am sharing it, so I might not be able to do it. Okay, let me see if you do not understand. Then I will maybe stop. I will stop sharing it and then I will draw it on another software. Okay. Now let's say this is the reorder level. You are reordering here, right? Now if I drag it on the towards the x-axis there, let's say it's the 6th day. For example, this is the 6th day, okay? And you keep on consuming the inventory, and by that time you actually get the inventory. Now let's say this is the 8th day if you drag it towards x-axis. So on 6th day you reorder, and on the 8th day you get the goods. So how many days are required by the supplier? Anybody who can tell me? How many days are required by the supplier to deliver the goods? Abdullah? Abdullah, I think it doesn't have a mic. Bilal Jamil.
So
Bilal?
14 days, 14 days.
14 days. Why are you saying 14 now? There's a problem. 14. Listen, on the 6th day, you reorder. On the 8th day, you get the goods. So the difference is 2. It means supplier took 2 days to deliver the goods. So it means lead time will be 2. So basically, lead time is the difference between the time when the goods are ordered, that is the 6th day, and the time when they are delivered by the supplier, and that is in that case the 8th day. So there are 2 days taken by the supplier. So lead time will be 2. So we can say that lead time is significantly short. So if it is significantly short, you can delay your order. You know that when your stock will reach up to that level, that now only 2 days, the stock is only for 2 days available. So then you can reorder your supplier as well. Okay, all right. So after that, when you will get the inventory, again your stock will reach to the maximum level. Again, you will start consuming the inventory because now you are producing. So again, when you will reach that level, this is your reorder level, you will order your supplier. The inventory will keep on going down, and by that time, again after 2 days, you will get the goods you order, and your stock will again reach to the maximum level. This is how you keep your stock at a desired level, and desired level means it is within the range. And what is the range? The range is the area between the maximum stock level and the minimum stock level. So this is how you manage the stock. Okay, but it looks quite symmetrical, you know that, okay? In practically, it doesn't happen. You may not find it that much symmetrical. Sometimes you have to consume inventory too quickly, depending on the demand. For example, sometimes there is a season going on, peak season there, and sometimes there is an off-peak season. So obviously, the consumption of inventory may not be at the same pace every time. So that's why you might not find the graph that symmetrical. Okay, now any question, you are most welcome to ask questions if you have any. So there is no question, I believe. All right, so we can move forward now. All right, now just in time, I told you earlier, we will discuss that in detail about that. So just a minute, let me mark you as well, because I have marked you, but because Ahmed Abdullah was not there, so I am just taking a screenshot again. All right, now just in time, stock control, we discussed it. What is it? Now let's, so no buffer stock are held. I told you that you do not keep any minimum stock, right? Okay, why we call it buffer? You know that. For example, you are actually having live streaming on your internet, right? So what happens sometimes that you find that buffering going on. For example, if your internet is slow, you see that buffering is there. And what is that? They store the information first. They store the data and then they supply it to you, so that there will not be any discontinuity in that. So, but if your internet is too slow, despite buffering, you might not be able to watch the program or the video you want to see. But again, so buffer means that you have something in storage. So you do not keep any storage. I told you earlier about it in just in time. Components reach when they are needed, and when they are needed, when customers order you to supply the goods. So then you order your supplier as well. Okay. Then finished goods are delivered as soon as they are completed. Okay. So that's why you do not need to keep a stock. Okay. Let's say the 10th day is the deadline. So you manufacture items on the 10th day. So the same day customer arrives and takes the goods away from you. So again, you do not need to keep a stock at all in that case. Then do it right the first time. Yes, this is a very important principle which is followed in just in time. And what is that? Do it right the first time. That employees do not have the margin to make a mistake. So employees need to be trained very well. And why it is a reason? Because for example, if employee makes a mistake, so now you need an extra raw material, extra units, and they are not there in your warehouse because you have only bought the amount of raw material which were required to complete that order. So now you have to order your supplier again. So supplier will again take time, right? So it will be a complete mess. I'm telling you. Either supplier will charge more from you, okay, and or you will not be able to meet the deadline. Even supplier charges you a higher price, still you will not be able to meet the deadline. So now you may be able to manufacture it at the maybe 2 days after the deadline, maybe 12th or 13th. You take 13 days. So again, the customer will be annoyed because customers always want their goods to be delivered to them timely. So that could be one of the reasons. So that's why you have to train your workers that there is no margin of mistake at all. All right. Then now, how to make JIT effective? One is, okay, we have talked about all the features of just in time. So if you have any question, again, I'm there to answer your question. Any question regarding what is just in time or how it functions. So I hope it is clear to everybody. Okay, great. Now, how to make JIT effective? How can we make it effective? Now, effective means, again, you have a target when you use JIT. And what is that? That you do not want to keep a stock. And still, you are able to meet the demand of the customers timely without keeping a stock. You are so efficient that you are able to manufacture the goods or make the goods available at the time when consumers want it. And how you will make it effective? One, you require a reliable supplier. Now, reliable supplier means once the supplier gives you a date that I will deliver you after 5 days or 6 days, the supplier actually delivers at that time. And it is very important. Why? Because after calculating that, you find out the reorder level, okay, and you get the inventory, right? If supplier is not reliable, okay, and delivers the goods late to you, obviously your stock will enter the danger zone because it may go down below your minimum stock level. And entering danger zone means, or danger level means, your stock can run out anytime. So there could be a problem there. Again, you have to refuse customer or your production will stop. Okay. So you have to find a reliable supplier. Okay. Then we have multi-skilled staff. Again, it's important for the same reason that it happens that some employees get ill or they are absent. Okay. Or they leave the job. So the employees must be multi-skilled for the reason that they must be able to perform the job of other employees as well. Okay, because if employees only know their job only and one post is vacant, either the employee has left the job or maybe the employee is absent for the time being. So somebody needs to be there to perform that job as well. So for that, employee needs to be multi-skilled so that they will be performing their job as well and the job of their team member or colleague as well. Okay, so production won't stop. Flexible equipment and machinery, again, similar to that, you require flexible equipment as well. If one machinery breaks down or it doesn't work, or you need to replace the parts of the machinery, and for that, you have to shut down the machinery. So again, there will be a delay. So to avoid that delay, you require flexible machineries so you can perform the same operation on other machine as well, so that you will not delay the order to your customer. Then accurate demand forecast. This is again important as well. Now there can be a question, sir, if you do not keep an inventory, why there is a need of having accurate demand forecast? Because we do not keep an inventory at all. We wait for the customer's order. The reason is because you have to inform the supplier. The supplier needs to be ready all the time. Okay, like, okay, our peak season is starting, or now off peak season will be there. So the supplier, your supplier, will make the adjustment accordingly, right? Because if you won't tell your supplier, the supplier might not be ready to deliver the goods. Okay, and then there'll be a problem. So you have to forecast demand accurately so that you can inform your supplier that be ready anytime orders can come, or maybe now the peak season is starting, so you need to be ready with all of your resources. So this is why it is required. Otherwise, obviously the supplier will delay the goods, and obviously you know that what will happen afterwards. We explained that before it as well. Now, advanced IT system. Again, that is required because now advanced IT system means that if you want to keep an eye on the inventory level, the software is the best way to do it, or IT system is the best way to do it, because human, they can make a mistake. They can forget about the level of inventory which is there at present. But IT system can warn you, right? For example, if maximum level, the stock is at the maximum level and it is going down, and now it is approaching the reorder level, the software can intimate you that now 2 days are left reaching to a reorder level, or let's say if reorder level has crossed, then maybe an alarming or an alarming information can be given to the business as well, that now your stock has gone past it. So this is how you'll be able to have a close eye on the inventory level as well. But in JIT, you know that it doesn't happen. This can work in a business which actually keeps inventory, right? But if I talk about JIT, you do not keep an inventory. Again, there is a caution, right? So why you need to inform your supplier? Again, I'm telling you. So it means that you need to stay in touch with your supplier. How many goods are required, when they are required, their specification, and for that there needs to be something in writing. Okay, so that you have a record as well, and supplier will be absolutely sure what items of what quality at what time should be delivered to you. So IT system is very efficient. So the message is delivered very quickly, and you can actually send it again as well. You keep one copy with you, and you send one copy to your supplier as well. So there is no misunderstanding happens there in the future at all about the quality, quantity, or the time of the good. So that is why in just in time IT system will also be required, because supplier can tell you that maybe of that particular quality or quantity is not there. So do you want to change your specification or the order? So this is how, but for that, if IT system is there, they can actually convey their message very quickly, and they can keep a record of their conversation as well. So that is why it is extremely important, even in GIT as well. Excellent employee employer relationship, again, it is very crucial. Now employee employer relationship again means that there should not be any conflict between employees and employer. Employer obviously means the owner of the business, right? If employees, they have a resentment in their heart regarding the policies of the business, or they feel that they are not being treated well, or they have some other job related issues, so obviously they won't work to their potential. Okay, so if they won't work to their potential, two things will happen. One, the order will not be completed at the right time, or maybe the quality won't be up to the mark, and customers may refuse to take the order because either the goods are not ready, or the goods are not of the right quality. So you need to have a very good employee employer relationship, so that you will be able to maintain the quality and the quantity at the right time when it is required by the customer. All right, so these are actually the points which makes GIT effective. Now, any question regarding any of the point? Because again, I'm telling you, your main focus should be to develop points. Okay, it's not only about mentioning points. If you fail to develop points, there is a problem, and you will lose majority of your marks in the paper as well. Okay, any question? I'm waiting. So I believe there is no question. All right, good. So moving on to advantages of JIT. All right. Now, the first advantage is reduced capital tied up. It's easy. You know that when you buy inventory, let's say you buy too much of an inventory, and let's say it's not going to be used in the future. Okay. So obviously your money is tied up over there. That money could have been used somewhere else, but now it is tied up there in the form of inventory. So in GIT, because you do not keep inventory, so your money is free to be used anywhere. Okay, and which might be rather more important compared to keeping an inventory just for nothing. Okay, reduced stock holding cost. Again, obviously you do not need to pay the rent of the warehouse as well. There is no administration cost where you need to keep a record of the inventory level as well. Again, then you do not need to hire workers who can actually safeguard the inventory which is there. Maybe a watchman might be required as well. Or the other things are, the things can be stolen as well, the things can get damaged as well, the things can go out of date as well. So this is all a part of stock holding cost. More productive use of the space. Again, yes, for example, if you're keeping inventory in your own workplace, for example, so again, that space will be freed up. Okay, and that space can be used for some other purpose, right? So again, that is a great advantage. Otherwise, that space will be consumed by that inventory, which is not going to be used in the near future. All right, then reduced risk of goods getting damaged. or outdated. Again, I discussed it. I covered it up in point number 2, stock holding cost. Okay, so I'm not going to explain that. You can make 2 points as well if you want to, or you can develop point number 2 and you can explain this point in it as well. It's up to you. Flexibility leads to quicker response time to changes in demand. Again, flexibility. Now, what kind of flexibility is there? Now, you need to understand flexibility in the sense you do not keep a stock, right? So whenever customer gives you an order, you actually order your supply or order your supplier accordingly, right? For example, if you have a inventory there, now it's difficult to meet the demand of the customers because your raw material is of a certain kind and you can only produce the products of a certain kind. So in that case, it will be very difficult to change the nature of the product or maybe the design or the style of the product. But if you do not keep an inventory, so obviously you will get a fresh stock from your supplier, and obviously it will suit the needs of the customer as well when you will produce the product. So when you're falling just in time, you are more flexible to make changes in your product because you do not have the old stock available. So you can buy the new one and you can make new goods which can suit the needs of the people as well. All right. Okay. Just a minute. All right. So now, so flexibility, now you understand what is it and how it is available in case of JIT. Then motivated multi-skilled staff. Again, because why? Okay, why they are motivated? Reason is because you train employees in different skills. So it means that now they believe that the organization is spending on them as far as training is concerned, and they are getting more skills. Now they are far more professional than before, and now obviously in the longer run they will have far more better opportunities in other organizations as well later. Okay, so for that reason they stay motivated, and multi-skill staff is required. You know that. Um, okay, so moving on. Okay, now all right. So disadvantages, but let me talk about the advantages that um, if you are not clear about any of the advantage, again, if you are not able to develop them, just let me know. I'm waiting.
So can you explain the second last point again?
Second last. Okay, all right. Flexibility leads to quicker response time to changes. Just a minute. I think I need to attach the charger with my laptop. Just a minute. Okay, all right. So I told you earlier, flexibility can be in two ways. One, you have a multi-skilled workforce, and secondly, you have machines which can perform different jobs. So if the demand of the customer changes, and the third is that you do not have an inventory at all. Okay, so what happens that when a customer orders you maybe a different kind of product, or the demand changes, so one, you do not keep an inventory, so all inventory is not there, and your staff is trained to produce that type of a product as well. Your machines are ever ready to produce that type of a product as well, because they are able to produce different variety of products there. In other cases, this is not this can be a problem as well, and this is not possible because either they have to hire new machinery, or they have to hire new workers, or they have to train the workers in that case, and it will be actually take too much time for the goods to be delivered. That is the development. Yes, Razeen.
Yes, sir, I'm clear now. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Now, disadvantages of GIT: delay in delivery from supplier or strike has serious consequences. Now, you understand it as well. Yes, you can keep your workers motivated, it's fine. But what about the workers who are working at the supplier's workplace? You cannot keep them motivated. Now, obviously, it is a job of the supplier. So, obviously, if there is a strike, or the supplier delivers you goods late, so obviously, I told you earlier, because you do not have any extra stock available. So obviously, you have to stop your production, or you have to request your customer to take the goods after some time, maybe after 2 days or after 3 days, right? Okay. And in case of a strike, for example, now you do not have a good relationship. Let's say if it is because of the workers who are working at supplier's workplace or at your workplace, and you are not able to keep a good relationship with the employees, and the reason could be maybe the trade union is unfair. Like, employees, they are actually asking for too high a wage rate, and you are not able to afford. Now obviously they are going to call on a strike. So in that case, even 1 day delay because of that strike will be disastrous for the business, because a lots of customers who will be there to take the goods, they won't get that. So obviously it will result into bad reputation as well, and the business may lose their very loyal customers as well. Then increased delivery costs for frequent small orders. Again, I told you earlier, I think in the class as well. Let's say you hire a truck or a vehicle to get the goods, okay, to be delivered to you. Okay, but you actually order very small quantity of goods, okay, and because of that, only half of the truck is full. So, but the rent will be charged for the full truck, or for the full vehicle, right? So again, it will increase your cost. Okay. So on the contrary, if you order large quantity of raw material or goods, okay, and now the whole space which is there in that vehicle is full, still you will pay the same rent. So it means rent will be divided in more units. So obviously it will actually reduce the average cost of the business. So that is again one of the disadvantage. And when you order in small quantity, supplier does not offer you a discount. I told you earlier. Okay, but when you actually order in large quantity, supplier gives you a discount. And why? Because supplier is relieved from the tension of selling goods to too many buyers. Now only one buyer in the shape of you is there to buy all the goods. So the supplier will be relieved, and supplier can focus on their further production. So that is why supplier offers you a discount if you buy in larger quantity. And this actually reduces the average cost. But in case of small orders, it's not possible, and you may lose that cost advantage. And especially if there is price competition there in the market, there are too many rival businesses operating there, and there is not much difference in your product and the products of your rival companies, then cost might be one of the decisive factor. Because if your cost is low, you can reduce the price to take the attention of the customers in the market. But if your cost is high, because your product is almost the same as other products, So you might not get the customers you want, and eventually you may have to stop your production or shut down your business even as a serious consequence. All right. Now then we have increased small order, increased administration cost as well. Again, this is related to small order, but in a different way. That you know that you will keep a record of small orders. For that, you will require more pen, ballpoint, ink, papers, even staff as well. Okay. But if you order a large quantity, you might require one person, okay, or one page where you will actually write all the goods which you want. But if every now and then, after maybe couple of days or maybe after a week, you require orders on regular basis, so obviously it will increase your administration cost as well, in terms of staff wages as well, in terms of paper cost, ink cost, and other items which are required for that. Then reduction in bulk discount. Again, I discussed that, so I'm not going to discuss that here. And again, you can explain this point together with the other point which I explained. That is point number 2. Sorry, point number, which one? A point, the third, even third one is possible, or the second one is also, you can, it's up to you, or you can just use it as a separate point. All right. So now I'm not factors affecting level of inventory held by a business. Now, this is actually an important one as well, but we will discuss that in the next class. And it's important because it actually came in the past paper as well. So we will discuss that in detail now. Okay. Up till now, any question? So you are more than welcome. Anyone? Or you can contact me through WhatsApp group as well while reading it from the book or from my notes as well. So there is no question. All right. So thank you very much. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next class.